Hello everyone, this is Eddie here, just talking about the third project in ELT 220. So this project is basically talking about what's going on with ramping up and ramping down freak drives. So it's pretty simple, especially compared to the last project. We need to talk about the motor nameplate data. We need to program it for a 5-second ramp up and ramp down, and we also need to add an S-curve ramp up and then DC injection braking. So in the course shell, you will see the user manuals for the Powerflex 4 and 520 series. And this is actually a really important tool to become familiar with. So if I go back to page 1, you'll see that this is the manual for the device. And this is the 525 manual. It actually covers a few. If you look at the table of contents, chapter 1 is basically the installation. So what kind of wiring do you need? What sort of fuses? What are the grounding requirements? This is everything that you need to know to just sort of get started. A little bit down, you'll see that we have information about the control I/O terminal block. So if we want to wire to the terminal block, all that information is in there. In chapter 2, this is all about kind of the operations and startup. Chapter 3 is about programming and parameters, and chapter 4 is about troubleshooting. So we want to look into understanding some stuff about ramping up, ramping down. So I'm going to just do a quick search for acceleration. And you'll see that it is all over the place, but if we go to the parameters, that's going to be chapter 3, and it's going to be on page 71. So I'm going to move to page 71. You'll see we have our programming and parameters, and if we move down a little bit, we find a whole list of all the different parameter groups, and this is a really useful thing to understand. So this gives you sort of the overall picture, and then in the subsequent pages you're going to see that it's going to talk about each one. So the ones that we care about for this project are going to be the basic programs. So all these 032, 033, those are the motor nameplate, hertz, current, full load amperage, etc. All that is going to be what you get from the nameplate data. And then for the ramp up and ramp down, that's going to be your accelerate time 1 and your decel time 1. So P41 and P42. For the S-curve, that's going to be an advanced parameter, which is going to be in the advanced program list. And that's going to be right here, the S-curve percentage, which is A439. You can also see that we also have some DC brake level stuff on A435. So this is just helpful to know. So if I scroll down, I'm going to first find the nameplate data ones. So you can see you're just sort of putting in the different values for those. And then for the ramp up and ramp down, the acceleration time is going to default to 10 seconds, but you could make it longer up to 600 seconds, or you can go very, very short where it just speeds kind of jumps right into it. So that's the time it takes to reach the set speed, and the deceleration is the time it's going to take to come to a stop. The S curve was down in the A400s. I think it's 430, it's right there, 439. You can see that when we enable it, it's going to default to 0, but we can add up to 100% of an S curve, and what it does is instead of linearly speeding up and down, it's going to slowly speed up and then have a linear phase and then slowly ramp up to the top. So it smooths it out, and this is important for heavy loads or if you need to move something really delicately, and it's going to apply to both speeding up and speeding down. And it's set as a percentage, and you can sort of see some math here. So if your acceleration time is 10 seconds and you have an S-curve setting of 30%, it's going to add 3 seconds of smoothing, so it'll be a total of 13 seconds. So it'll be 1.5 seconds right here, and then another 1.5 seconds over here. So it does make it speed up a little slower. The braking, I think I went too far. I think that was up. There we go, DC brake level. You can see here, so we have A434 and A435. 434 is going to set the length of time that the DC brake current is injected into the motor when parameter 45, the stop mode, is set to 10, 11, or 0. So these are, you can see this is interesting because the DC brake is dependent on the settings in parameter 45. If parameter 45 is set to something else other than 0, 2, 4, 6, 10, or 11, it's not really going to work. So this is the length of time, so you want to have it for a certain amount of time. And then this is the magnitude. So you can see that once you hit the stop command, in a ramp mode, it's going to sort of slow down. In DC injection stop mode, it's going to basically sort of cut it off right away, and then cut it off again. So there's a different way of stop. It's a harder stop, basically. So those are the parameters that we need to understand. The nameplate ones, DC brake, and then a little higher we find the S-curve percentage. So pretty simple to adjust these. I just wanted to show you those so you could see where to find this in the manual, because using the manual is a really good skill to have, and it's something that is pretty common for these types of devices.